Welcome, sentient beings from all known universes and beyond. It's time to activate your cranial downlinks and prepare to receive a raft of discussion on a cosmic ocean of science fiction and fantasy topics, interviews with local area genre devotees, and insightful prognostication by our soothsayers of science fiction, our forecasters of fantasy, and any other beings that happen to get caught in our gravity well. This is the Galactic Driftwood Podcast.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Galactic Driftwood Podcast. I'm Bill.
I'm Charles.
I'm Seth.
I'm Jenna.
I'm Chris.
I'm Mark.
And today we're just going to be talking about general topics in nerd news. A lot of stuff out there happening. And so we thought we'd dedicate an episode to kind of catch everybody up on what's going on. So with that, I'm going to kick it off to Jenna, who's got our first topic here. Jenna?
Yep. So lots of things to talk about with all the announcements with new releases for entertainment coming. So if you've finished Loki, you know that's going to continue into Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. And Marvel's What If, you know, they're really advertising that hard now. So I was just to kick it off with those. What are your guys' thoughts? Are you excited for these, or is the whole multiverse thing between WandaVision and Loki starting to be too much? Is it overwhelming?
I have wanted the multiverse for so goddamn long. And I mean, prior to Loki, we just assumed that there already was a multiverse out there, as opposed to a single holy timeline or whatever. But
what has
I have enough trouble keeping track of one universe.
Well, my mind isn't limited by such things.
Apparently.
So what has me most excited about the multiverse and what it opens up is Deadpool, I guess, is going to be rated R, and he's coming into the MCU.
Yes.
Yeah, that'll be a really good change. I know a lot of people are looking forward to that. I'm starting to get a little bit exhausted, but maybe this multiverse thing will bring me back to Marvel a little bit more. I think if they continued along the path that they were doing, I was just going to be done ultimately at some point. I really do think that.
Kind of getting burnout on it.
Yeah.
Nope, not me. I am all here for this. I grew up reading comic story after comic story after comic story, and this is just more of the same, just higher production values.
Seth, it's all Marvel all the time.
Yeah, I've got room in my heart for good DC movies.
They've all been good to me, but we've had that debate.
I need to rehash it.
Right.
Do we need to rehash that again?
Oh.
Okay,
right.
Chris, really quick. I'll say the Snyder cut sucked, and you can say it was good, and then Jenna will be happy.
No, I don't even want to hear Snyder cut again. God damn it, Seth.
Seth, have you ever seen a bad Marvel movie?
Thor: The Dark World isn't great.
was pretty poor.
Yeah, but
I agree with that.
Also keep in mind, like, I am also comparing these to the comic book movies that I grew up with and that we got prior to the current MCU.
Sure.
It's like, compared to Ang Lee's Hulk movie, Thor: The Dark World deserves to be in the Criterion Collection.
I compare all of these movies to the original black and white Superman series.
So you're quite impressed.
I am. Yeah, I'm blown away.
Yeah.
I like them all. What do you think, Mark?
Yeah, well, I haven't seen as many of them as maybe I should have.
So Mark, so that brings up the question here. So you've already got like 70 some hours to watch to get caught up, right?
Yes.
Now we're going into this multiverse of MCU stuff. So there's conceivably a
Yeah, it feels like it's leaving me more and more behind, right? Like, so at a certain point, you need to
retire and
retire, catch
start
up,
watching
or just say, forget it, right? Like,
I feel like we just need to be thankful that we don't have video games coming into play too that are canon, that are also contributing to the storyline.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. But I know a bunch of people just like Mark that only watch them from time to time when the movies come out or there's maybe more hype over other ones. Whether that be my parents or even my wife's parents that have maybe only seen 5 or 6 of the movies. So they go and they watch
1 second. Any of them from our generation? Because you just said your parents or your wife's parents.
Yeah, well, yeah. No, okay. But
yes,
I'm talking about more than just our age group, right? I'm talking about all age groups. Yeah. People with just different interests in general, or maybe people that are fans of action movies or comedies and stuff like that are just catching a Marvel flick from time to time. The further they go down this path, it's like you get left behind. There's no significance, right? You can't just pick up Black Widow as a standalone film. There's not a lot of meaning to that for you in the timeline or why she's on the run or anything like that. A lot of these movies pick up from the previous one, which picks up from the previous one, which picks up from the previous one. So after a while,
comics, though, like it's all of comics is there aren't very many standalone comic things. Like you kind of
that's what I get. But when you get to films, that's where a lot of things stop at trilogies or whatever. It's a very
still do it. I disagree a little. I think
story
Black Widow anyway it's done well enough. It's standalone well enough. I don't think you needed to know much more.
I mean, you could have come into Black Widow having pretty much just watched Avengers and Civil War.
I don't think that would have mattered. There's enough shows where the person
is on the run for some reason.
On the run for something.
Right. Never get it.
Yeah. And they do try to fill that in. It's not as meaningful. All the other stuff becomes pointless as far as Easter eggs, the little things they drop in there. But
well, if you enjoy Easter eggs.
Now we know what finally happened in Budapest.
Which is cool.
Yeah. Well, and along with what Chris was saying, so originally several years ago, that was me and Linda, where we would catch some of the heavily marketed, advertised Marvel movies that were coming out to the theater. Like, we wouldn't have probably seen Ant-Man and the Wasp or Honey, I Shrunk the Kids kind of thing, that sort of stuff. We might have missed that, but we would have seen something that was heavily marketed, like a big Superman or a Black Widow, for example. And we had done that. And we would go see a lot of those shows, and they were fine. I mean, it wasn't like, I felt like I was missing a big piece of the puzzle. It was mostly, entertaining, and we got the general plot of the show. And then, probably about 4 years ago, one of the guys that I worked with sat next to me, and he's like, well, you haven't seen all the Marvel? He was kind of like you, Seth. What are you? Oh, yeah. He just about his head exploded, And so, the end of that week, he brought me in like this massive hard drive of all of the movies and a little play sheet that had the viewing order for me to go. So Lynn and I worked on doing that for the next couple of weeks and finally got through them all. So,
Bill, you just admitted to another federal crime on
Well, I didn't say he didn't pay for those.
If they were on a hard drive, I think the assumption is that you did, and then that you took them.
Well, I don't know how any of that works.
I mean, I feel like
I don't
if you
either.
just
I don't
look
understand
at
how any of it works.
at the FBI warning in front of every movie forever.
I don't know. I never bothered to read it. I don't know why I put those there.
Anyway.
So jumping into DC then, because obviously Marvel's been well advertised and what it's doing for sure. There seems some stuff production wise that DC is trying to still keep us engaged, because supposedly Michael B. Jordan is developing his own Black Superman project for HBO Max.
Yes.
And then the actor from Black Panther, Winston Duke, he's going to be in a podcast for Batman Unburied, which he is a criminal psychologist who then becomes Batman at night to help save the city. So I'm kind of, as popular as podcasts are getting, maybe that's where DC starts to make more of a mark, is in its podcast instead of trying to keep up with the Marvel movies.
I think it's a fun side project, but I don't think DC is going to make a lot of headway with audio dramas. I mean, they've got plenty of audio dramas out there if you look on Audible, but I'm excited by the project because I like audio dramas. I just don't know how many people are interested in audio dramas.
That's what we need to find out, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
Maybe it's bigger than we think.
Well, there's that Big Finish Audio that does a lot of audio dramas, and they're very popular. And I've got a lot of the audio dramas that they've done of Doctor Who, and they're great for listening on road trips. You know, you just pop the CD in the dash and drive along and listen to a whole show. And it's nice because, you know, you're not really missing anything visually because you don't have to look at it. Everything's audio and described, and you hear the sound effects, and it's all designed knowing that nobody's going to be watching it, they're going to be listening to it. So it makes it perfect for road trips and stuff like that.
But I mean, they've got some big names. It looks like that's going to be in it as well, because they've also got, God, he always plays such a good Batman, Jason Isaacs, who was in Harry Potter.
Yeah. He was in Star Trek Discovery too.
Yep, Star Trek Discovery. Yep. So I think he's a good villain, but him as Alfred is going to be a great shake.
Oh yeah, he's got a good Alfred voice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What about you, Chris? You're a big Superman. What are your thoughts on Michael B. Jordan developing something for HBO?
I'm excited for it. I really am. I want to know more. It's so early on that this is kind of dropped that I want to know what their long-term plans for it. I don't want to see this half-assed in any way, you know, just doing it just because they can. But I do think it's important, and this was mentioned in the article, that we start to see superheroes that we typically see cast in a certain way envisioned differently. With different races, with males versus females, and all of that. So I'm excited for it. You know, I'm a huge fan of Superman, so a black Superman would be freaking sweet. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it, but I just kind of want to know more, a little bit what they're thinking.
Do we know like how he gets to Earth, any of that stuff yet, or is that?
No, we just know it's a project in development right now. So,
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's working on the script, and he's using his own production company, Outlier Society, to develop it. But J.J. Abrams then is also doing a Superman movie, not a series, that will have a black Superman.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, how's that are they gonna step on each other's toes here? Like,
well,
I mean, that's gonna be the question.
Yeah.
I mean, this is where multiverses come into play. You can
because then we've got the other
off.
white Batman with Robert Pattinson coming again. Like, there's just going to be all of these different reincarnations, and I just feel like they're too close together. I'd rather have a quality. DC needs to do a quality over quantity check, I think.
Yeah, DC needed to do things the way Marvel did and establish kind of a main timeline. Then you can do branches off of that and quirky little shows. And so,
I don't know. I'm not. Yeah, I hate reboots. I've said this before, but I do always appreciate that from DC's side, they seem to just kind of they build it and then they're done, and then they build something else and they're done. Unfortunately, it's like 5 or 6 Batmans later. It's 3 or 4 Supermans later. But you can go and you can watch any of them and just be done with it. And with Marvel, I feel like I've been watching the same show for 10, 15 years. So it just gets better and it changes the storyline. But to a point I was making earlier, it just seems to drag on. And some of them are kind of standalone, and a lot of them I feel honestly aren't. There's just a lack of appreciation there, going all the way back to like the first Iron Man, if you will. You know.
Right. On the other hand, I don't want to hear about Batman's parents ever again.
Either, yeah. I don't either. There should just be movies in the world of Batman, and we don't have to keep rehashing the beginning of it. We all know it.
Yes.
I think that's probably the great thing about Marvel is they don't rehash that all the time.
Yeah, we didn't need to see Uncle Ben die again for the new Spider-Man. We all know Uncle Ben dies.
Right. Yeah.
What we didn't know was that Aunt May was kind of weirdly hot and apparently had a thing with Iron Man.
Not Iron Man, his bodyguard, the Iron Man's PA.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know. DC doesn't seem to have an overall arcing direction there, but I do appreciate that you can just hop in on any of their movies and just be done with it. So you either liked it or you didn't. You know, it becomes a which Batman did you like? Which Superman did you like best? You know, there isn't a which Thor did you like best? Which Hulk did you? Well, Hulk technically there's a few of those.
Yeah.
There are a few different Hulks.
Yeah.
3 to be.
But we probably better talk about Activision Blizzard, don't you think, Jenna?
Yeah, but I will say, I think a good question is, what are we not seeing in the news before we get, well, maybe we'll say that for last. We'll say, what are we not seeing in the news that we want to see for nerds for the last question. Yeah. But yeah, getting into Activision and Blizzard, because for our gamer folks, because it is all over the internet that if you love WoW, World of Warcraft, Blizzard is not doing anything on it due to this harassment lawsuit in toxic workplace. It's complicated, and I guess I can read off of it real quick unless someone's got a better summary prepared.
No, go ahead.
Go for it.
We'll chime in.
So it sounds like basically what's going on is there's been a very long culture of frat boy, sexual harassment, environment for workers, female workers. And, you know, the leadership is coming out and saying, oh, either we didn't understand it was that bad and we should have did more, or they're blaming the gamers for contributing to that environment. There seems to be a lot of shit going on that they are haphazardly responding, not taking the full responsibility that they probably should, and that there are a lot of people coming out who are current and ex-employees who are just saying, no, they knew about this. The leadership knew. And it's going to be interesting to see where this goes, because in a way they're punishing the fans by stopping all work on World of Warcraft, which is a very popular game, until this is resolved. And that could take months, if not years.
And to give you guys some kind of context into some of the shady stuff that's been going on and some of the history of it, you know, one of the developers that's been fired at Activision Blizzard actually used to keep a hotel suite that was known as the Cosby Suite.
Oh, no.
There are photos that back this up. Timing of it makes it pro or con in terms of, you know, it didn't get its name for the obvious things that,
they knew by the time, like Cosby had several
accusations. Yes, he had several by that time, but, you know, this was pre, you know, Me Too or what have you. However, to Seth's point, you know, it wasn't an unknown thing what was going on with Cosby and those allegations. So that is to the depth of what's been going on, even allegations of go ahead.
It is apparently a pervasive culture in which, like, one of the employees committed suicide after accompanying one of the senior devs to a conference where he
So here's a good summary. Video game giant Activision Blizzard, Incorporated, maker of games including World of Warcraft and Diablo, fosters a frat boy culture in which female employees are subjected to constant sexual harassment, unequal pay, and retaliation, according to a lawsuit filed by the California Department of Fair Employment and Housing. A 2-year investigation by the state agency found that the company discriminated against female employees in terms of terms and conditions of employment, including compensation, assignment, promotion, and termination. company leadership consistently failed to take steps to prevent discrimination, harassment, and retaliation, the agency said.
I mean,
And
Blizzard,
Blizzard,
that's more than just allegations, right? That was an ongoing investigation, 2 years.
Right.
Yeah.
Now,
so
Blizzard's response has been more or less tone deaf, and actions speak louder than words in terms of their commitment on what they're going to do to improve this. So they've gone ahead and hired a law firm which does not have a positive outlook in terms of what they specialize in.
yeah, this
Go ahead.
yeah, the law firm that they hired is the same law firm that Amazon hired to prevent its employees from unionizing.
Jesus Christ.
They're a law firm that has a history of anti-union bullying, and they are a law firm that does not specialize in helping out employees.
This is not a find an equal solution. This is not a law firm that specializes in let's make everything right.
Yeah, this is a law firm that makes problems for employers go away.
Oh, God.
So that business can get back to normal.
So that speaks to the top-down leadership, what's going on at Activision in terms of them being tone deaf. There is not a person in leadership there, it would appear, that is on the side of the employees, particularly the female employees. They're subjected to all the sexual harassment and everything going on there.
So
but apparently, too, the female voice is not unified in the reaction to this, because one of the top female leadership, she kind of tried to say, I guess, that I think it's an overcorrection because historically, the types of people who develop and get into this industry, they were nerds. They're not popular. They don't have they're I'm paraphrasing. They weren't the cool kids at school, and now they got money. Gaming is popular. They have social power that they didn't have before, and they're overcorrecting by trying to approach the girl, trying to be this image of dominance. And I'm like, that's not an excuse.
No, that's not an excuse. That's not an excuse for cube crawls where the male employees would get drunk and crawl between the cubicles of female employees and sexually harassing them. Like, that's not an overcorrection. That's just you being a shitty person.
Right.
Yeah, that's definitely how someone would have gotten kicked in the face, personally. But
That's very restrained for you, Jenna. Good job.
Well,
yeah, what's curious is, and obviously this is an ongoing thing, is how did we? Is this an issue with Silicon Valley? Is this an issue with tech companies? It's not being addressed, and why are we as a society, if you will, letting this get this far? It's blatantly out and open.
Well, this is a problem not just at the with the programmers, but it's a problem in the video game world itself too, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
I mean, from streamer, it just seems like sexual harassment is endemic from the development down to the streamer and player level. I wouldn't willingly, as a woman, play anything like open chat on Overwatch or anything. Like, some of those cultures are extremely toxic.
Well,
is it lack of
be
so a
involved?
lot of these companies, they end up growing with leaders that were developers themselves, or people running the company were gamers or whatever, and so they're not people that specialize in the HR side of things, if you will, to put a lack of a better term on it. And is it because that those people are running those departments that shouldn't be that we have this problem? Like, should there be another entity or organization that specializes in ensuring this shit doesn't happen?
I mean, programming became a sort of boys' club, and there's an entire history behind that, in which actually back closer to when programming was getting its start, the majority of developers were female. But then for some reason, and I used to know this off the top of my head, but it swapped. Like, I believe, it was Atari Atari had a lot of female developers there. They had a really weird corporate culture. Bill, you're wanted.
I see that.
One of Bill's dogs is coming into the podcast to remind him that he is loved and
deserves puppy kisses.
But yeah, there have been a ton of development companies that have come out with these huge scandals lately, including Ubisoft was one of the more recent ones to get called out for their horrible culture, and they still haven't dealt with it.
But that's been known for I remember half a decade ago at least going to a little spiel that I wasn't aware of what I was going to sit through, but it was exactly that. It was programming and sexual harassment, basically, right? And it scared the hell out of me because I didn't know anything. I had no idea. But that was a long time ago. So to pretend, specifics maybe, but to pretend that wasn't known would be absurd.
Yeah, these companies have all had time to correct things, but they
clean out house because they knew what was going on.
Yeah, they don't have the incentive to clean house when they need that.
Well, is this going to be like Amazon, where everyone knows Amazon is treating their employees like shit, but people are still buying from Amazon because they want the good deal? So
there's the good deal, and then
going to hold Blizzard accountable and these video game corporations accountable for the culture and not support them if they have this, or are they going to just keep playing? Like, it doesn't bother me. I need my escape.
I think the problem here,
it kind of, if they stop developing World of Warcraft, if the developers stop developing on it, and Blizzard has this black mark on them, they could kill World of Warcraft. They could.
Well, I have a point on that, but Mark, you were saying?
Yeah.
Oh no, I was just saying. The problem here is that they realize, and it's kind of a problem that's in society at large right now, is if they can muddy the waters with a different narrative, people will say, well, you know what, I like the products. There's this other story. I can throw my hands up in the air and not look at it too closely and keep buying my World of Warcraft. It's in politics. It's everywhere, right? Like, as long as there's another narrative.
Yeah. For some people, all you have to do is give them an excuse to ignore what's going on.
Right.
It doesn't seem very creative. Anyway. Couldn't you just go through a little sensitivity training in order to get the video game to work?
I think we're beyond
one chapter
training.
Just 1 hour of sensitivity training, and then you kill as many people as you want.
I think they know that they're beyond that.
Yeah, like it doesn't do any good. So
I have no idea.
Well, so one thing that's recent that should be brought up is some of the podcasts I watch on the gaming side, tech side, or whatever. Even before this became a kind of a headline issue for Activision Blizzard, World of Warcraft has actually been on the decline in terms of its user base and in the active amount of players. So that's already been kind of winding down. So I don't know if this leads to, I wouldn't say this leads to the death of, WoW. They just recently had an expansion, but it really didn't prop up numbers maybe like they thought they would. I'm a WoW player, and I have been for a long time off and on. And ultimately, I've been looking for the next thing to kind of hop into, whether that's your Final Fantasy 14 or something else.
I'd play Final Fantasy 14 with you, Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been wanting to do that, but I don't want to do it alone.
Yeah. So there's gamers that have been making that move for several months now, and I think this just kind of helps push them off the ledge a little bit and gets them to kind of move on. They don't want to associate with it. Even this past Tuesday, I think, was kind of in the social sphere a Don't Play WoW Day in solidarity to speak towards and support those women that have been affected by this. And And I think it doesn't look good for WoW long term that this kind of accelerates, a game that's going to reach its end. And Activision Blizzard, by the way, it's larger than World of Warcraft. It's just StarCraft. There's a lot of brands underneath that. And I think those games do just fine, but World of Warcraft is getting tired. And I think this could help accelerate people leaving the platform because it just doesn't look good. I don't know what's going to happen with those other brands if they have those other games, but it's not good for Blizzard.
So speed round, what are you not seeing in the news for nerddom that you wish you were? I'll go first. I really wish, I don't see a great fantasy epic coming. We've had some sci-fi epics, like Dune is going to be great. Looking forward to that. Marvel, they're doing their thing, keeping us filled with all the comic book goodness, but I don't think there's been a really, since the Chronicles of Shannara, a series or a movie that's been proposed to us that fills the fantasy gap. We kind of have the Green Knight right now, but that's more of a horror Arthurian legend. That's small scale. It's not a great, big, engaging world building fantasy. So I don't know if you all have heard anything, but
I haven't, and I would agree with that. I would say that's one thing that I'm not hearing that I really, really want to see. It's my favorite genre altogether, and I've not seen enough, and I'm still reading a lot of books that would suggest there's plenty of content out there.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Give me a Mistborn movie series.
Oh, God. Yeah, that's what I'm not seeing that I want to see is more of Brandon Sanderson stories, maybe changing delivery vehicles, getting some movies or TV series, Mistborn or, the Stormlight Archive, any of that stuff would be really cool.
Mm-hmm. Give that a big budget and you could you've got so much good stuff you could do with Brandon Sanderson books or other fantasy novels. There's plenty of stuff out there you could mine for a new good like fantasy epic. The Name of the Wind and the Wise Man's Fear. Oh,
wasn't HBO looking at some Game of Thrones spinoffs that told the story of Game of Thrones, but 1,000 years in the past? Yep. Has anybody heard of where they're at with that, or is that something that's being actively?
I think everything kind of stalled out after the pandemic.
Okay.
Yeah, they're cast building still. Like they're announcing new cast members and everything, but I don't think they've started filming. And that's still a little bit niche because the level of graphic sex and violence, and some people just need their happy endings, and it's too dark for a lot of people.
Fair.
Yeah, we need happier things right now.
This is true. Yeah, we don't have enough happy stories. So,
yeah.
Anyone else?
Hey, we got Suicide Squad coming out August 5th.
Yes.
You looking forward to that?
I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks good.
Very much
it's
so.
Fun. Gory fun.
Yes. And I think, is it September or October when the new Disney series, the Foundation series starts?
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
And I think that's going to be really good. It looks like Disney's put a lot of money and staked basically the future of the Disney or not
Apple.
The Apple TV has kind of staked their future on this series because they've been going through their financial reviews and their service looks really good, but the service looks really good because people that have bought new Apple products over the past year have gotten a free Disney subscription for a year. And a lot of that stuff is starting to wind up. And so it'll remains to be seen now if people are going to be willing to pay the fee to maintain that Apple subscription, or if that's going to drop and they're going to lose a lot of subscribers. So I think if this Foundation's series is not as good as it's advertised to be, they may lose a lot, and that may totally change the landscape for Apple. So they've got a lot riding on this. So the trailers I've seen for it make it look really good, and I've been reading this summer the Foundation series, so I'm starting the fifth book now, 5th of 7, so getting close to the end, and I really like the books, so hopefully the series will portray that pretty well. I know they've had to change it quite a bit, the series from the books, because the books take place over like 1,000 years. And there's new characters that are coming in because old characters die off, right? And that's really hard for an audience. And it also deals with some sort of more of high-level themes and concepts. And typically audiences are more invested in the emotional interplay between characters, and they want these characters to kind of transition between series. So from what I've read, they found a way to do that.
They found a way to ruin it, huh?
Well, I don't know. They found a way to allow these characters to continue on.
Because see, I'm exactly the other way around. I want more shows with highfalutin concepts.
Right.
Like I could care less if I see another drama.
Yeah.
But that was the same, and that was the same with Black Widow. It's just I've seen stuff already with. I still think Black Widow's a good movie, but I don't. But it was the same problem.
Yeah.
I've seen family dynamics before.
Right. Yeah. I think the problem is the bulk of people out there that are consuming this content.
Right. They need that social, that emotional investment in characters, and not so much on the highfalutin concepts. And I don't know if that's a failure of the education system to teach people to think.
I think it's presentation.
You do?
But because I watched, what was that we were going to watch this week? And the Bruce Willis movie.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
No,
it's supposed to be so bad.
Oh, Cosmic Sin. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it was that bad. It was a horrible, horrible movie, but it had they had some brush by really great concepts, I thought, which is too bad because they just made it like a small speaking points. Maybe another episode, but
yeah.
But they had some really good concepts in there, but they just kind of went, here's the concept. And now we're going to do the same old cowboy space movie that we've been doing with Bruce Willis the whole time, except even worse than the norm.
Oh, no.
Right.
Not watching that.
Well, anything else out there?
I think we'd probably better wrap it up for the week.
Sounds good. All right.
Well, highfalutin concept. Just throwing it out there.
Highfalutin.
I'm in. Like, let's think deep and think nuanced. Let's not stop making it a little easy.
Right.
Although we need that too. You need the junk food entertainment as much as you do the deeper thoughts.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you like Doritos? Give me those Doritos movies.
Twist cake rolls.
All right, folks. Well, thanks for tuning in for another episode. We hope you join us next time. In the meantime, you can check out our other shows on Galactic Driftwood.
I'm Linda.
Space.
Oh
yeah. Hey, Linda.
That's late.
Hey, Linda.
She snuck in late. Check us out on galacticdriftwood.space. We're also part of the Synergy Nation Network, which you can check out us and other podcasts there at synnation.net. And anything else you guys want to throw out there?
If we missed something, tell us. Like, is there a big fantasy epic coming out we haven't heard of, or is there some
let us know.
New nerds tidbit we need to talk about?
Yeah, like, subscribe, and comment.
There you go. All right. Bye. Love you all. We'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Galactic Driftwood Podcast. For more information and past episodes, please visit our website at galacticdriftwood.space or subscribe to us on YouTube. And now, please deactivate your cranial downlinks, collect your towels, and be sure to watch your step as you exit our gravity well.